Howdy my peeps, and welcome. Today I'm going to be painting with, get this, gouache. And if you saw a video that I did not too long ago, you know that this ought to be interesting. But before we get into the video, I would like to give a shout out to Naya Wilkinson. I hope I said your name right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate them. If you would like to be the comment of the week, all you gotta do is comment in any video. And you know, that could have been you. Also, I'm on Patreon. You know, if you want to see extra things other than my videos, I have, well, other videos that aren't on my channel. I also do a monthly wallpaper, a monthly studio vlog style video, and you know, things like that. You also get shout outs at the end of each video, so if that's something that you're interested in, you can head over there. You know, there's a link in the description if you're interested. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this here painting. Now, not too long ago I used some gouache, and you know, it wasn't it. You know, I just, for whatever reason, I just could not get the gouache to work properly. I hadn't used it in a while as well, so it's just like, you know, everything was just kind of not going well. And the other day I was just like, I really want to paint something with gouache, so I was just like, you know what, let me do it. So I did, and I approached this painting differently than I did the last time. Last time I was kind of in a rush, if I recall correctly, and there was just like a bunch of other things happening, so I just, you know, wasn't at my best. But this time I felt a lot chiller when I was painting. And I also kind of thought about what about my other gouache paintings that I like and how I painted those, particularly with this painting right here. I'll put it up on the screen. I really like this painting. It was actually probably one of my most ambitious pieces, because it has like glowing fish and stuff, and you know, with a new medium you might not want to try stuff like that. But I did, and I really like how it turned out, so I was just like, you know, thinking about how I painted that. And if I recall correctly, I used a lot of flat colors, and I wasn't trying to like do a lot of blending and all that jazz. However, I did do some blending around the fish to kind of make them look kind of glowy. And also a little bit of gradients, you know, just a little bit, you know, nothing too fancy. So I tried to apply those same things to this here painting that I have for you today. The first thing I did was I pre-mixed all the colors that I was going to use for the skin. For the most part, I used three main colors. A color, pretty much the same way I pick my colors when I'm coloring with Copics. I chose a color for the shading, then I chose like the main color, and then a highlight color. And actually, when I first mixed my colors, I guess I was a little timid with it, and I added too much water to it, so when I applied everything to the paper, it was like watercolor almost, because I had thinned it out so much. And I was like, you know what, Chief, that ain't gonna work. If you're gonna do it, you best do it properly. So then I kind of remixed the colors again, and this time I added less water so that I could actually look like gouache when I applied it to the paper. And that I basically did mix the same colors, except with less water, and that seemed to work a-okay. And I am actually pretty glad that I did that little wash of color on first, because it kind of gave me an idea of where I wanted to put everything before I actually put things down. Because I'm working with just regular gouache, I don't have acrylic gouache. Acrylic gouache is such that you can put the colors down, and then you can go over it with like after it dries, you can go over it with watered down colors or just more color, and the layer underneath is not going to budge. As far as I know, I've never actually used them, don't quote me on that. But regular gouache isn't like that. With regular gouache, if you put, like, if you're trying to layer, you have to be careful sometimes, because the layer underneath can lift a little bit, and I did experience a little bit of that. However, I tried my best to avoid needing to do that as much as possible. I only really did that towards the end on his shirt, and that wasn't such a big deal to me. It wasn't like on the face or anything, so I was pretty okay with it. And like I mentioned with that other painting I mentioned earlier, the one with the fish, I used a lot of flat color, and I only pretty much blended the colors together where they like touched. And I kind of did that with this one as well. There are like some little bits of gradients like on his cheeks and a little bit on his nose where I added just a little bit of red color, you know, just a little something. And I also, you know, somewhere towards the end of painting his face, I was just like, let me go ahead and embrace the qualities of gouache here. Because with gouache, you get these really nice flat colors, and I'm like, why am I not trying to do this? You know, use the medium for what it's best for. You know, flat colors. So on his face, I started adding like really blocky shapes with the shadow color, as well as with the highlight color. One of my favorite things about the painting is his nose. I really like painting noses and stuff for some reason. I've mentioned this before. I don't know why. I also really like how I ended up doing his eyes, just like his eyelids, because I added like just a block of just like the highlight color, and I think that looks pretty nice. And I also kind of decided to get a little fancy with his eyeballs as well, because I have a tendency to like not shape the eyes at all, and sometimes I will not add any color to the whites of the eyes at all. I'll just like leave it, like I won't paint anything on it at all. It's just the color of the paper, and that's just how it's gonna be. But I was just like, you know, I might as well be fancy here. You know, if we're gonna be fancy, let's be fancy. So I also did some stuff with that, and I really like how his eyes turned out. Now, with this picture, I painted some stuff, and then I had to put it up, and after I put it up and then like came back to look at it, I was just like, this anatomy here is, I just felt like his eyes were maybe the slightest bit too far apart, maybe just a little bit. However, I came back to it earlier today to finish it, and I was like, is it though? I'm not sure. When I was sketching this picture, I decided not to sketch it like flat on my table, which was suggested by one of you fine folks. I'm going to put that comment up on the screen when I find it, so you can see that right there. This individual here suggested that when I'm sketching, like tilt my drawing surface, or just like tilt the paper or whatever, so that I can see everything properly. So I'm not seeing everything at an angle, because I've been kind of struggling a little bit with my eyes and making them look kind of slanty. Like as in like one eye is higher than it should be. This one doesn't really look like that to me, but the eyes are maybe just the slightest bit too far apart, but maybe not. I'm not sure. But overall, I think it looks pretty nice, and I really like the face. You know, I like the gouachiness of it, especially compared to the last gouache painting that I did. It was rather special. I'm gonna put a link to that video somewhere so that you can see it in all of its special glory. But yeah, I also really like how I painted the hair. Technically not my first gouache painting, but it was my first with what I felt is good gouache, I guess, because the first gouache that I ever tried was Reeves gouache, and it was a little special. But anyway, with this particular brand of gouache, I'm using Holbein gouache, by the way. When I first used it, I had, when I was coloring hair, I put a dark color down first and then a light color on top of it, and I really liked how that looked. It looked kind of, maybe just a little like digital art, just a little bit, maybe not too much, but just a little bit, which is what I was going for it with this particular piece. However, I was having a little trouble mixing the colors. You know, let me be honest here. And I mixed his hair color wrong the first couple of times, and I just ended up going over the lighter color with the dark color instead, which is how I normally do it anyway. So, you know, it's fine. And speaking of like not choosing the colors that I wanted properly, his skin is just the slightest bit yellower than I had intended. However, I think it works here. You know, I wasn't so sure about it originally, but you know, looking at it now, I think it's fine. But anyway, this is how the painting turned out. I really like it, and I'm proud of myself. You know, I'm glad. You know, I'm happy that this turned out well, especially considering what happened last time. But anyway, if you would like to support me in my art, you can head over to my Patreon page, which I mentioned earlier. You can get things like early access to videos, monthly speed painting, monthly wallpaper, monthly studio vlog style video. Sometimes I have like a little extra video. If I have an extra little speed painting hanging around somewhere, which I do have one of those this month, so you know, it's over there. You can also get shoutouts at the end of each video. Speaking of which, shout out to my patrons, Turtle Bun Buns, MW, and Ariana. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being my patrons. I really appreciate you and everything that you do. But if you're like, Patreon, I want nothing to do with this. What is this? But you would still like to support me, you can head over to my Ko-fi page, or you can follow me on Instagram, or you can subscribe to my channel if you want to. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please enjoy the rest of your day, my peeps.